Welcome to the first Master of Education, Workland School of Education Information and Overview session. My name is Lisa Llewellyn. I am the manager at the Graduate Programs in Education with the Workland School of Education, and I'm here with my colleagues who will introduce themselves as well, Dr. Rana Mosher, and as well we have our colleague from Faculty of Graduate Studies, Calvin Lack, who is moderating the session and helping us if there's any technical difficulties or anything. But I will give Rana the opportunity to introduce herself.
Good evening and welcome. I'm very excited to have you join us this evening. I am Rana Mosher and I am the Director of the Professional Programs in Graduate Education in Workland. So that is the MEd and the EdD programs. Glad you're here.
So before we get started, we just want to get it going in a good way and acknowledge the land that we reside on. So for Rana and I and Cal, we are here in Calgary, but there might be some of you who might not be in the Calgary area or may not even be in Alberta or might not even be in Canada. So please take a moment to acknowledge your presence and where you are. For us who are in Calgary and the University of Calgary, acknowledge that we are on the territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, which comprises of the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Stoney Nakoda, which includes the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary, also known as Mohkinstsis, is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Before we get started with our agenda and introducing going into the program, I just wanted to provide the overview of the information sessions that we will be holding in this Master of Education series. So tonight is an overview of the Master of Education degrees that we offer through Workland School of Education. So this will be a shorter session. It's really going to be giving you pretty much the difference between the two MEd programs that we offer. As we move through the weeks, it's every Tuesday evening at the same time. We will go into next week giving you information about the Master of Education Specialist program. And we will have the great opportunity to have the academic coordinators attend those sessions so that have topics that are being offered for the upcoming summer 2023 term. And that'll give you an opportunity for those of you who are interested in this specialist program to meet the academic coordinators and talk to them personally so that you can ask them questions regarding the topics. The next 2 weeks, so January 24th and January 31st, we will cover the Master of Education and Interdisciplinary Study topics. Those sessions will consist of a brief overview of the MEd Interdisciplinary degree, but then we will have all our academic coordinators of the topics that are being offered will be there for the sessions. So we'll have breakout rooms and give participants the opportunity to go into a breakout room. And then after that first one, they'll have an opportunity to go into a second breakout room because some of you may still be on the fence as to figuring out which topic you want to have. So that'll give you an opportunity. At the end of the session, we will show you the actual topics that we will have academic coordinators attending for those specific dates. You can also, though, go to the website and you will find the MEd information sessions and the topics will be listed there. The final session is one that was of demand, was for those who are starting their application or maybe hesitant because they're not sure as to how to create an application or what needs to go into the application. So we offer a session called Creating a Strong Application, where we can give you tips about previous applications, and our academics will be attending as well, who have reviewed applications. And so they can give you kind of suggestions on what to include when it comes to a statement of intent, how to find references, and also just adding to the questions that are included in the application. So those are the 5 sessions, we have 5 sessions. So after today, there will be 4 sessions, and we strongly encourage you, whatever one you're interested, to please register. Once again, those will be available on the website too, so you can find them. For tonight, the agenda, what we have is The first portion is Rana will cover the Master of Education degrees. So what are they? And then we'll go into detail about the specialist program and then the interdisciplinary and figure out maybe might be able to give you some tips as to which one might be best for you. And then we'll provide you with the admission requirements for both of the degree routes. And finally, as I mentioned before, we'll talk about upcoming sessions that are available. And before we get started though, we do want to know who you are and so get a bit of information about you. So we do have a poll and Rana, do you want to do? Okay, excellent. So a short poll. So if you don't mind just answering the questions are very quick and it just gives us an idea of who we're meeting with and also what kind of areas to touch on when we have other sessions in this session as well. We'll just give a few minutes. Wonderful. So it looks like we have a number of people that are coming from Calgary, which is nice to see the Calgary area. But great to see some people outside of Canada too. So I did see in the chat there is somebody here from Malaysia. I believe I did see that. Oh, living in Malaysia and from Pakistan. Hello.
Okay, I'm going to just end those polls, but thank you for everyone just kind of giving us an idea where you are, what you're thinking about, and that kind of lets us know maybe how to help you a little bit more, especially knowing that lots of people, a little over half, are exploring their options a little bit for as they're thinking between the MEd Interdisciplinary. Thanks.
One thing I just forgot to mention before Rana gets started is this session is being recorded. So please know that as soon as the recording is set up, we will post it on the website. As well, you will receive an email with the PowerPoint slides and the link to the recording. So you don't need to be frantically writing things down right now, but just so that it is being recorded. As well, as I mentioned, this is a general overview session. So we know you probably have some questions, and which is a good thing because that's a good reason to come here. And so this session is more so just for us to provide you with information. So please do write your questions down and you can save them for upcoming sessions and you'll have the opportunity to direct your questions to the graduate program administrators or the academic coordinators. So you'll be able to direct those questions to them. If you do feel that you have something that's really pressing or you may not be able to attend one of the sessions, then we will provide you with email addresses at the end so that you're more than welcome to contact somebody listed there, or you can visit the website for the topic that you're interested in and all the contact informations for the graduate program administrator and the academic coordinator is listed there. Now we'll get started.
We do have the Q&A enabled as well. So if you just have a quick clarifying question that you want to ask, just you can pop it in there. If it's something more comprehensive about your personal circumstances or something really unique to you, maybe we'll hold it for one of the other opportunities. Okay, so just talking about the MEd degree, I'm assuming because you're here, you've been poking around in the website a little bit and you have a sense of it, but maybe just can add some more information. So the Master of Education is a course-based degree. So that distinguishes it from like a Master of Arts or a Master of Science, which are a thesis-based degree, where the entire focus of the program is on enabling the student to undertake a very specific research topic. In an MEd degree, most of the program is about the courses that you're taking. And then there are some research courses toward the end of the program, but there's so much opportunity to really explore areas of interest to professional practice. So they are professional programs. They are designed particularly for people who are working. So the classes are held at times that should be accessible to most people who have to work during the day, and they're very tied to professional circumstances and goals as well as to theory. So the combination of theory and practice should be visible and present through all your courses, all your conversations. A lot of the assignments will create opportunities to use the literature to create like a solution or design something that would enable a professional circumstance. So those are important things to keep in mind. The programs are also cohort-based. So when you begin a program, whether it's we'll talk a little bit more when we get into the difference between the specialist and the interdisciplinary. For however long that specific program is, you will be taking classes pretty much with the same group of people. So you'll get to build those relationships, you'll work out support systems with one another, your conversations will be able to build across the courses. We use both online and or blended instruction and learning. So some of our programs, and that's something to take into consideration as you're trying to make a good choice for yourself. If it's a fully online program or if it's blended. And blended would typically mean that there's an on-campus component to the course during the summer. Sometimes some of the programs also have off-site learning locations in the summer as well. And then the MEd is a step towards the Doctor of Education degree. It's a very intentional and laddered program. And if you're interested in that, the MEd prepares you very much for that. Some people do ask about the MEd leading to a PhD, and it is possible. It's not quite as seamless a transition as toward the EdD, but it certainly is. The MEd can set you up for continued learning beyond the specific degree. Okay, so let's talk about the MEd specialist. So this, starting in summer 2023, there are 2 MEd specialist programs accepting applications, one in leadership and learning and in education, in K-12 settings primarily, and the other in adult learning. And so in a specialist degree, all of the content courses are on that one area of learning, adult learning or leadership. And then they are complemented with 4 research courses. The MEd specialist degrees are typically completed within 2 years. So all 12 courses in 2 years, the 8 content courses and the 4 research courses within 2 years. And people really enjoy digging in deeply into a specific area of learning within these programs. And once you begin the MEd specialist, you are committing to the whole program. Once you sign up, you're applying once and you're applying for all 12 courses at one time. In the MEd Interdisciplinary degree, it's a laddered or step-based program. So you're really just committing to one 4-course topic at a time. So the first year, and we have such a variety of topics, I can't even list them all here, but later in the session when we're sharing some of the programs where the coordinators are able to join us on the 24th and 31st of January. You'll see some of them, but the full list is on the website. So in the first year, you're applying to a graduate certificate and you take 4 courses on a specific topic. It could be in curriculum, it could be in leadership, it could be in learning sciences, it could be in pedagogies for French as a second language, like the teaching English as an additional language, educational, neuroscience, like the list is massive. And then in the second year, if you successfully complete that graduate certificate, then there's a separate application and it can be immediately the next year, or you can take a break in between years too, if it suits you and your circumstances better. And then in the second year, you're choosing another 4-course topic, which can be related to the first one, or it can be in a completely different area. If you have broad, diverse interests or aspects of your professional work and you want to explore them, the MEd Interdisciplinary does permit that. And so you get to create your own combinations of topics that way. And then following the completion of the graduate diploma, and either again the next year or a short time later, then you're applying to complete the Master of Education, which is 4 research courses on top of those 8 content courses. And they lead you through a program where you are conducting research, you're learning about educational research and some of the methodologies that can be used, not as big a range of methodologies as people in an MA program would be entertaining, but you do get to actually conduct some research. So the 4 courses in the MEd research year are one on program and practice evaluation, and then research methodology. Then a collaboratory of practice is where you are actually undertaking the research. That's really where you get your research done. And then writing educational research is where you start to think about knowledge mobilization and who you're going to share the knowledge and the learning that you've created through your research, and how you can send that, use it to help influence other people.
Oh, my turn. So when it comes to the application and admission requirements, it's an online application, so there is no paper application. So you can access that through the website. They'll have a link for apply now everywhere listed. So for the graduate certificate, which is the first step of the MEd Interdisciplinary, you're coming in as a new student. So we don't know you or anything. So there's a bit more of supplementary documents that are required for this portion. The graduate certificate requires a GPA of a 3.0, which is about a B average on the last 2 years of your 4-year undergraduate degree. Requirement all applicants must display language proficiency. And within the application, there's a question for you to provide a statement of intent. Always recommended to create the statement of intent before you start your application, and then you can just copy and paste it into the answers of the question in the application. The big one is that you will be required to provide 2 references. References can be academic, but we do understand that a number of our students and applicants have been out of university for a bit of time and may still not have a relationship with professors or instructors that they took their studies with. So you are welcome to use a professional reference. For the references, it is an online reference, so you will provide the email address to the referee, and once you submit the application, so it has to be submitted, the referees will receive an email with a link to your application, to the online reference, and then when they submit the reference, it will be uploaded to your application. I always do remind applicants that it's really important for your referees to have the time to be able to complete their reference portion. So it is important to actually give them time to complete it, which means don't apply on the last day of the application because they may not have time to submit it on that time. So I always recommend to give them a heads up and apply early so that they can have time to submit the reference. This year is new. We are accepting unofficial transcripts, but you can submit official transcripts but they must be from all post-secondary institutions that you've attended. Even if you did a few courses at an institution and didn't complete a credential, you still need to submit the transcripts for that institution. And when you're applying, and once you submit your application, you can upload unofficial transcripts. However, if you do, while it is preferred that all official transcripts be received by the program application deadline, initial evaluation purposes, we are able to accept unofficial transcripts. And if you are, though, offered admission, you will receive a conditional offer based on us receiving final official transcripts sent directly from the institution. And we also do offer what is called the relevant prior learning experience. So we do understand that some people may have had some issues in their undergrad degree, or may not have have done it from 10, 15 plus years ago, and have had lots of experience throughout the period of time since doing their undergraduate degree. So we do recognize that. So we recognize those of you who have demonstrated a lot of professional experience over the years. And so if you do feel that you don't meet the minimum GPA for the degree, and perhaps you maybe didn't even complete a 4-year undergraduate degree. This can be considered under a relevant prior learning. So if you feel that this is you, it's really important for you to reach out to the graduate program administrator for the topic and also to the academic coordinators so that you can discuss what your accomplishments are and what you've done since doing your degree. And this is really important that you include this within your application. So you'll get support from somebody to be able to complete that application. Now, those of you, once you finish your graduate certificate, you will need to apply to the graduate diploma. This is a much simpler application because we know who you are and we have all your credentials and we have all your transcripts and everything. So all that you need to do is you need to submit the application, still provide a statement of intent, and maintain a 3.0 GPA on your graduate certificate. Same goes when you move to the final third step and the research step is that you will need to maintain a 3.0 GPA on both your certificate and diploma and provide a statement of intent. So the application process becomes simpler as you move through the laddered route. For the MEd specialist, the requirements are pretty much the same thing. So it's actually the same thing as the graduate certificate. So 3.0 GPA, English language proficiency, statement of intent, references, and we also, for the Master of Education specialist, do honor prior learning and low GPAs as well. So that's just a brief information on the application. What we didn't include in these slides, and somehow we won't never remember this, Rana, is the application dates and deadlines. So the application opened on November 1st and the deadline is March 1st. So that is the application period, and all supporting documents and everything is due on March 1st. So this is where I was talking about the fortunate is that you can upload your unofficial transcripts into the application once you submit it. So you don't have to worry about the institution sending your transcripts and maybe not getting to us by March 1st. But I do stress that please do provide the time for your referees to get there, to be able to submit a strong reference for you. So it's really, really, really important not to apply 2 days before the application deadline. However, we do know that circumstances happen, but please know that the references need to be in order for an application to be considered complete. And I realize we're going quickly through this, so please do remember that once we go into the next sessions in the next couple of weeks, we will be able to slow it down and provide answer some questions that you may have on your particular studies and your education background.
Thank you, Lisa. There's a few questions in the Q&A for you to catch up on too. Ones I think you're so much better at answering. Okay, so sometimes people are really thinking about, well, which is better for me, the specialist degree or the interdisciplinary, particularly someone, for example, who might be considering one of those topics. And this year, as I said, it's leadership and adult learning, where there are both MEd programs and specialist programs in those topic areas. And best thing I can say is that it really depends on you and your area of interest. So if I think just really looking at what the learning experiences and the content of the courses and the kinds of questions that are being asked, the descriptions on the website have so much information about the programs and what will happen within them and the kinds of topics and questions and issues that would be considered within each program. The other thing is to really think about your professional goals. If you have a very defined professional goal and specializing in one of those areas of study will help you meet that goal, then maybe the specialist is the better program for you. If you have professional goals where you need to be able to bring diverse skills and content areas together, then maybe the MEd Interdisciplinary would be for you. And thinking about the difference in the time commitments. Can you commit now to 12 courses in 2 years? Or is it better for you to say, you know what, I'm going to start off with 4 courses. I'm just going to start off with that. I'm going to get my feet back into being a student again, writing papers, reading, and then I'll be able to reevaluate then whether or not I want to go right into the next topic, whether I want to take a break, if, you know, or so in my own little story in life, I started off like very tentatively. Well, I'm just going to try this one little thing. And then I ended up being so excited about what I was doing that I switched programs. I switched from an MEd to an MA and ended up with a PhD. So everyone's pathway is a little bit different. You just have to think about what's best for you. And then, of course, you know, are you looking for the flexibility of combining topics, or you just want to dig deep into one of those areas? It's just really thinking about you, your life, your professional goals, your whether or not you anticipate more study afterwards might make a difference to you too. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever suits you and your circumstances the best. So as Lisa said, that we do know we're kind of on the surface a little bit tonight, but there are so many opportunities coming for you to be able to really have conversations with other people, not just them sharing information, but getting into small breakout rooms and having conversations and sharing your questions. And in the next few weeks, we'll have many people joining us in the sessions. Overall, it's really good to know that if you have questions about the MEd program as a whole, then you are very welcome to contact me if it's related to the academic content of those programs, or if it's related to administration things like the applications and the transcripts and the English language proficiency or the prior learning or like some of those things, then the GPE office is the place to direct those questions. If you have questions about the specific content of individual programs, on our website, you'll see that there's, as part of the description, there is the name of a graduate program administrator for that individual program who can help you with exactly what that program requires and help you through that process. And if you're participating in that program later, they will be a constant in your life in terms of support. If you're thinking about the courses and the program content and what the specific assignments even might be in the courses, then you can contact the academic coordinator of the specific program who can talk a little bit more about what the experiences have been during the previous experiences with the program, not necessarily exactly what they'll be going forward, but what they have been like, because things change each year as well. Okay, and then we have more information about what's coming up. Lisa?
You may want to do those because I'm answering
some questions. You're still answering questions. Okay, I'll keep going.
Thank you.
Okay, so next week is for people thinking about the MEd specialist degree. We will be focusing on it more particularly. So as well as kind of the application and general admission requirements that we talked a little bit about tonight. We have the academic coordinators from Adult, Community, and Higher Education and Leadership for Learning coming to the session, and you'll have an opportunity to be in a breakout room with them, other people who may be thinking about joining those programs, and really get to talk about how your goals and your interests might line up with those particular. So those breakout conversations are very helpful, and we will have a number of the graduate program administrators here as well to answer the details of application and transcript questions that Lisa's desperately trying to do right now in typing. Then the next 2 weeks on January 24th and the 31st, we'll be focusing on the MEd Interdisciplinary degree. And so again, just briefly, the topics offered, those requirements, the processes, and then we will, as Lisa mentioned earlier, we have, I think, 12 one night and 13 the other night so far who are confirmed to be coming to the session with us, and you'll have an opportunity to go into a breakout room twice. So for example, if you were really interested in inclusive education and perhaps teaching, learning mathematics, you could go into a breakout room and meet with those two coordinators and other people who are interested and explore those particular programs. And sometimes it might be the program you're going to take in the first year, and sometimes it might be one that you maybe are thinking in the future you might like to take. And then on the 31st, the same thing happens. So if you really have broad interest, you could theoretically even come on the 24th and the 31st and have an opportunity to talk to 4 people. But yeah, we certainly don't expect that. But if you take a look at the lists, and that is on our website, then you'll be able to see where the best points of contact for you might be. For example, transdisciplinary leadership, strategy, and innovation in organizations. We do have the academic coordinator coming on the 31st, but not on the 24th. But then another program, collaborative creativity for social innovation and strategic design. The coordinator will be there both nights, so you can find out what works best for you. And then, of course, we have that final one, the creating a strong application. I would say don't wait until this session to begin your application. Get into if you're really thinking this is for you and MEd is in your future and this is the year to get started, get into the application process well before this. Get your referees lined up and really dig around in the application so you can think about the questions that you might need to ask. It's better to do that, have a little bit of experience with what's required before you come to the session so that you can connect those ideas a little bit. And other than that, we thank you for being here. We will try to catch up on the questions. As Lisa said, the slides and the recording will be emailed to you, but the best is yet to come. It is the next few weeks where the conversations really will become valuable.
Yeah, I guess, Rona, one question is, because we were talking about the transition from an MEd to a doctorate program. So somebody did ask the question, is there a smooth transition to the MEd Interdisciplinary to a PhD?
From a smooth transition from an MEd to an EdD to a PhD is a little bit more complicated. PhD is a very, very competitive program. The acceptance rate for the PhD is much lower than it would be, I think, for the EdD, and it's you really have to have a few publications under your belt to be a really strong applicant for the PhD. And so you'll be set up for that for at least one in your MEd research courses, but you might want to build out your other experiences in anticipation of applying to a PhD. So the typical pathway is MEd to EdD or MA or MSc to a PhD, but the PhD is not out of reach, and everyone's circumstances and background and the things they've been involved in at work and other aspects of their life are different. So it's always hard to answer that in kind of a general way.
Excellent. Great.
Yeah, I think we still have some questions to answer. Let me see if I can go through them and just really quickly verbally answer them.
Yeah, we do have a question. Is there a part-time option for the interdisciplinary route? I'm not sure. Everybody has a different definition to the term part-time. So
Right.
I can describe the courses. So for the interdisciplinary, you might take, depending on the topic, you may take 2 courses in the summer, 1 course in the fall, and 1 course in the winter. Or some topics have 1 course for each term. So you would do 1 course in the summer, 1 in the fall, 1 in the winter, and 1 in the spring. And the courses are, as I believe Rona had said, they are really tailored for people who are working full time. So the online synchronous sessions, when they're offered, are offered in the evenings from Monday to Thursdays, with the earliest start time of around 5:30 Alberta time, and they could run for about 2 hours or so. So that is, we do we have created a program, so it is available for people who are working full-time. So it can, if that's what your question regarding part-time is, and then yes, you could work full-time and you could still do this program.
Most people do. Most people do.
Yeah.
And someone was asking about the continuity of the laddered program in the MEd Interdisciplinary. So the MEd Interdisciplinary has been offered for many years. The program as a whole, I don't think you have to worry about that disappearing, but there are variations in which topics that are offered each year. And so that might be something you want to explore in one of those conversations with the academic coordinators, is if it's typically something that's offered every year or every second year, because different topics have different patterns too. And there are some very specific questions about applications and background education. I think if you're okay, those would be way better to hold and bring to another session when we have the graduate program administrators here to be able to answer that. And the statement of intent is, yes, indeed, the one found in the online application. Always recommend working offline in a document and then pasting it in later if you know that. And then there's a question about the fees too.
Yeah, and your favorite one is here. So what is the typical time commitment in hours per week?
Yes, that is always another doozy of a one to answer in general, because people's patterns are different in individual courses. So what I tell people is that the typical wisdom is that for every hour of class time, you're going to be spending 2 more hours on readings and discussion and assignments. We like working with groups, but I don't know you and how you work. I'm a slow, ploddy thinker. So my time commitment might be a little longer than someone who is like efficient and organized, and the words come easily for them when they're writing and things like that. So there's about 39 hours of instructional time in a course. So if you think of 120 hours across 13 weeks, I'd say it's a little bit less than that, but again, depends on what your writing speed and style is like once you kind of get into those files. Let's see if there's anything else we can do really quickly. I think that's it looks like the rest of them are specific questions about educational backgrounds and things. And so please come back. We will have people here to answer those questions.
Yes, and definitely, if you are not able to come to the sessions, please do reach out to anyone who's listed on the topics that you're interested in. As Rana said, the graduate program administrators can answer application questions and admissions questions. But if you really want to know what the program is about and what you're going to be doing in it, talk to the academic coordinators. They are the ones that have created these programs for you. So they have a passion for it and they'll be able to give you a lot of detail. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you coming this evening, and we look forward to hopefully next sessions. It will not be webinar form, so we will be able to see all of you, our faces, and be able to chat with you. Exactly. So we do appreciate you showing up today, and look forward to receiving your application and hearing from you.
Good night.
Night.